Okay. Good morning. It's Tuesday morning. Welcome back, at least for me. I just got back. I know we were dark on Friday and Monday because I was where there are no cellular or internet connections. So, which is hard to find on planet Earth these days, isn't it? But I found that spot. 4 days on the Colorado River. It was pretty awesome. But I'm here, alive and kicking, and ready to rock and roll this week. So what we're doing is we're going to start with what we normally do on Monday. We're going to do today on Tuesday, and we'll catch up during the week. Before we get started with our topic of the day, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Ronan Rahman, who is there.
Hey, hi. Brian. Welcome back to the land of technology.
I know, right?
Yeah. I think you pretty much have to get where there is no signal to get away from it. So,
well, we did have a fair share of tech. It just wasn't tech that was connected to the internet. So,
right, like GPS and stuff.
GPS and GoPro cameras and stuff like that.
Well, that's great. You got a chance to disconnect. And now we are live, and we're going to talk about our most foundational conversation, which is market to message match. And because Absolutely. We're live, leave comments, we respond, and let us know. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to know, and we'll respond back. So, Brian, I'm going to scoot out of here. I'm going to let you do your thing.
Awesome. Alrighty. So market to message match. That's what we usually do on Mondays, but so we usually call it market to message match Monday. Today it's market to message match Tuesday, which doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but the message and the content is still as good. So, so what we're talking about here is really your foundational starting point for any kind of communication marketing campaign that you're going to run. And because we are specifically running campaigns to connect with other business professionals to generate sales appointments and meetings that are going to be of value for you and for the other party, we want to make sure that our message resonates with the people that we want to connect with. It's simple as that. And we have a formula that we use to go through and generate very specific messaging that speaks directly with the people who we want to have those appointments with. And it works very, very well. And it really does set the foundation for generating qualified and quality conversations. Without this, you're really just kind of shooting in the wind and hoping for the best. So you want to start here. I know a lot of folks out there are teaching, social media technique and all this technology technique, and that's all fine and well, and it's all good, and you need to know some of that stuff, but none of it amounts to anything if you fail on this particular part, and that's why we start here. So market to message match. Ronan, go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to go right into some of our slides here. So if you have something to write with and write on, that would be helpful because you can take notes here. Feel free to take screenshots. I'm going to go through. It's a 4-part formula. It's very simple, but it's very powerful to go through this for any campaign that you're going to run. So here we go. And it starts with this: industry. So before we can reach out to certain people, we need to start at the top, right? What industry are we playing in? Okay. So when you're thinking of industry, you're thinking of a large collection of business types and subcategories and things like this. So we're talking things like automotive as an industry, entertainment as an industry, healthcare as an industry, travel as an industry, right? These are large multi-trillion-dollar, we'll call them entities for lack of a different term, that encompass many, many, many different disciplines. Construction would be an industry. So pick an industry for the sake of this example that you want to go through this exercise with. Shouldn't be that hard for you to do. All right. Once you have that, let's move on to the second part of the formula, and that is to narrow down into market segment. Now, with market segment, normally an industry has thousands, if not tens of thousands of market segments and sub-market segments within them. And the more specific you can get here, the more effective your communication is going to be. And you can, as a business, run multiple campaigns within multiple market segments, but each one of them should have its own specific dialed in messaging, and that's what we're working on getting to. So you have to visualize what your specific market segment is. You've heard the term niche marketing or niche marketing, some people call it. That's what we're talking about here. And it's not that you only do business in that one market segment. It's that you should create messaging specifically for that segment and for the people within that segment. So let's say you chose, let's say you chose construction as your industry. You might have a market segment like general contractor, or more specifically, a general contractor who builds, let's say, small homes or something like that, like tiny houses or something like that, right? So you're getting narrow and you can speak directly to that. Or you might work with a general contractor that does, kitchen remodeling as a market segment, or a general contractor that deals with, building medical facilities. Just think about the segment that you want to create messaging for, because without this, it's really difficult to speak to those people and get their attention, right? So write down a market segment that you want to go through this exercise with. And then the next part is the who, right? That's your specific market, right? Who is it that you want to have a conversation with within that market segment? So if you chose a general contractor who builds tiny houses, who is it that you want to speak to? Do you want to speak to the owner of those businesses? Do you want to speak with superintendents? Do you want to speak with, office managers or HR people? Like, who is it within that industry that you want to have a conversation with? You want to have a seat at the table, I guess, with is what you're looking for. So really think about that. And you could think about it in terms of job title, position, seniority, all that kind of stuff. And there might be multiple types of people within that specific market segment that makes sense for you to have a conversation with, either as a potential client, as a potential referral partner, as a potential resource. So you can write multiple people down or multiple titles down within each market segment that you might want to have a conversation with, because typically whatever message you come up with is going to relate to a lot of the different types of people, and that's okay. And then the final part, the fourth part of this formula, and this is really where it all comes together and allows you to create really powerful messages, is knowing two things. What is it that those people desire most, and knowing what those people are frustrated by most, or are have the most pain within their particular job, let's say. So, and if you can figure out, or if you can know both of those, what do they desire most, and what is it that they would really like to just not have to do, or what's frustrating them, or what's worrying them, and you can solve that problem as well as provide what they desire most, and you can state that very succinctly, you've got them. You really do. Like, when I say you've got them, I'm not saying this in kind of a competitive or warlike sense. I mean, you've got their attention, right? And that's what we're really wanting to do here, is get those individuals' attention so that they want to learn more about you and dig deeper and have that conversation. And it's not necessarily obvious. And one of the ways that we define, or one of the ways that we come up with these desires and pain points, is we ask them. Right? We ask the people directly, what is it that you want most? What is it that if you could eliminate from your job that you just really don't like doing, what is it? And if it's something you can solve and provide a service for, you're in. And that's why this is important. And it's really impossible to do this if you're thinking like, oh, I just work with anybody in construction. Well, everybody in construction has different desires and different frustrations and different worries, right? So you can't create a message for that. You have to create that message that speaks to the individual, because you do business with individuals. You don't do business with industries. If you follow me here, okay? And I'm going to show you some examples of how this formula, by following this thought process, can manifest itself into specific headline statements that really resonate and speak to the conversation going on in their minds of ideal prospects. So I'm going to show you a few examples right now. Let's start with Dana Earhart. So I'll read you her headline that came out as a result of going through this process, this formula. Here it is. Get your weekends and evenings back. That's the frustration. That's the pain point. Get your weekends and evenings back while building a wildly successful, that's the desire, wildly successful accounting, bookkeeping, CFO, or law firm. That's the who. Okay, she's speaking directly to the owner of accounting, bookkeeping, CFO, and law firms, and she's hit the pain point, which is get your weekends and evenings back. She's hit the desire while building a wildly successful business, and she's called out who she works with. So that's how that formula can manifest itself into something that's going to grab the attention, in this case, of who Dana wants to speak with. Here's another example for Sergio. Real results, that's the desire. For healthcare service providers, that's the industry or the who. Using Google Ads, that's kind of the what he does. Without the usual nonsense you've experienced with others, that's the pain point, right? That's the pain point. So he's calling out the desire, the who, and what he does, and what's the pain, what's the pain he solves, or the frustration that he solves. And so when his ideal person sees that, they want to have a conversation. They want to learn more about Sergio because they are his ideal client in this case. I'll show you one more, and that's for Ronan, my co-host and partner in Real Appointments. And that is this: guaranteed appointments with IT decision makers. So that's the desire and the who at $25 million plus US based companies. That's very specific, so that you can focus on IT solutions. So what his ideal customer wants is they want to just deal with what they know, which is delivering IT solutions. They don't want to have to worry or deal with generating appointments to get business. They just want to do the business. And so he's calling out the desire, and he's teasing a little bit with the frustration, because those kinds of people typically are not as good at or don't want to deal with generating appointments. They just want to have them handed to them. And that's what he does. That's what we do. So he's subtly incorporating all of those elements into that one headline statement, again, coming right out of that formula that I just shared with you. And I'm just going to pull it up on the screen again in case you didn't take a screenshot of it. You can do it now. Here's all 4 parts of it, and really take some time with this. I mean, when we go through this exercise, we invest hours, if not days, going through it, writing down different ideas, hashing it out over and over again, testing them out over and over again before we settle on the specific messaging that we're ultimately going to utilize in our marketing. So this is not a 5-minute exercise typically. I know I just went through it in about 5 minutes, but the process of really getting into this and dialing in the right messaging could take days or even weeks sometimes. Like this really will set the tone. And when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, Brian, my marketing's not working as well as I expect it to, what's going on here?" And I look at their messaging, and I can almost without a doubt identify it's a mismatch between the market and the message. Almost always is what the problem is, at least the core problem. So I'm going to come back to full screen here and bring up Ronan. Where are you, buddy? And see if there's any questions or comments that we can help you with, and any comments from my peanut gallery, which is Ronan.
You got one more peanut.
Oh, hey, it's Michael. What's up, man?
Yeah. So
he's a fellow scouter, so he knows what I just went through for 4 days.
I'm sure. At least some of what you went through, not all of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not all. There's some great stories, Mike. We'll have to have a beer and share them together.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really got out of this talk was, and I just wanted to share that one of the things that I see a lot is that, a lot of times it's people just their title and their job description or whatever it is, and their company name, the sort of the default LinkedIn thing. Then other people are using the headline to describe what they do, but that is in the world of what's about them. They don't ever speak to what they do for you. They just kind of like I help blah, blah, blah. And it's never speaks to the pain point. So the pain point is the critical component of the whole thing, because that's what shifts it from being about you to being about them. And that's
Correct.
where we want to be, is about them. So
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, think about it. If you're in pain, right? If you have a physical pain, you want to get that taken care of, right? I mean, you'll do almost anything to get rid of it.
right.
So if you can call out, and it doesn't have to be like pain in a sense of agony. It could be something as simple as, like, I'll give you another example. So I know a lot of people that are in the real estate sales business, and for whatever reason, they do not like picking up that phone and following up and making cold calls. If you have a service or a solution that can solve that for them, you're in. Like, because
Right.
they don't like doing that. They love showing the houses and negotiating the deals and painting this wonderful picture about all that stuff. They don't like picking up that phone and making calls, and they don't like following up with the people that they connect with. If you can solve that, you got them. And so it's just a frustration. It's not like this agonizing thing. It's just like, oh, if someone could just take care of that, like, I'm in. It's like, or me, like something even more simple. My lawn, I have someone come out and mow my lawn and trim my hedges in the front of the yard. I don't like doing it.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because I have neglected my backyard and this one bush that's in the entry.
Yeah.
And it was like the bush was on COVID because it wasn't getting a haircut.
That's funny.
And it's been growing and growing and growing. Finally, yesterday, I had a landscaper come out, and it was like a transformation. It's like when you see a makeover on Oprah. It's like a house had a makeover. So it's not something I want to do. I was happy to pay every dollar I paid. I was excited to pay, because I was able to continue doing what I love to do and here at my desk versus be out there in the heat.
Right. It solved just a little bit of a frustration, and it there was no argument, no negotiation. It was like, yeah, just take care of it. We're good.
Yeah. And they quoted me the price. I didn't even negotiate. It's like, yep, come do
100%,
it. Get it done.
100%.
So,
yeah.
Well, listen, tomorrow we are having a conversation about the 3-point power profile, which is part of this. But this is just one of 3 parts, and we're going to go.
This is a part of that.
Right. So tomorrow's 3-point power profile will be on at the same time. Come check it out. 9:30, and bring your comments, bring your questions. We love taking them on. And also, we are going to be doing a live event.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. I still have river brain.
So August 20, we're doing a live event. Check it out. Guaranteed appointmentslive.com. Put your name on the list. We'll be reaching out to people shortly, and we'd love to see you there. We're going to do it live, and we're going to stream it. So whatever you're comfortable with, we've got a nice big training.
Live, and we're going to do it in person and stream it. It's all live.
It's all live. Yeah. We're not going to be a recording in front of the room. So but we've got a nice big meeting space, plenty of room for people to spread out and be physically distant and socially connected.
Awesome.
All right, man. We'll see you tomorrow.